Hey y'all, it's Farmer Mima, and today I want to talk a little bit about judgment. I'm going to try to keep this from being a rant, but it is what it is. So let's get into it. The Bible talks about judgment, right? And a lot of people, there's this debate about, some people say that the Bible tells us not to judge, and other people say that the Bible tells us to judge. And I think that both sides are missing the point. And that is that as humans, we are going to judge. And we are supposed to be able to judge good from bad, good and evil, things that are wholesome and things that are sinful. And so that is kind of a given. But the argument is about judging people. You shouldn't judge that person for their sin because you're sinning too, right? Everybody gets into this whole thing about nobody's perfect, so you shouldn't judge anybody for anything. And I don't think that's what the Bible meant at all. So, here's the point that I want to make. When you naturally judge someone or someone's situation, number one, we shouldn't judge the person. What we're really judging is the behavior. And if you ever look at someone and judge them as a bad person instead of their behavior being bad, then that goes more towards condemning rather than judging. But when we all, sometimes we do it. I mean, that's something that we all need to work on. But when we're looking at a situation and a person and we're judging that person or situation, are we doing anything to help it? Because if your judgment of a person is resulting in self-righteousness and gossip, then that's not the way we were meant to judge. If you're judging a person and seeing where they have deficits and you are offering to help or assist or encourage or teach that person, that's much different. And so I think the Bible really, when we're looking at other people, some people, we have to discern that these people are not in a position to, like that pearls before swine thing. Like, they're not ready to hear what we have to say. They're not in a position to want to be helped yet. And so you can discern, you judge that so that you're not kind of wasting your time, or so you're not turning them against God. Because sometimes Christians can be very judgmental in a way that makes other people look and say, I don't want any part of that. I don't want to judge people. But it makes it really complicated in these times when there is so much going on, you guys, that you know things that people are doing that are just not okay. But this world is changing and they try to make things that are not okay, and then making good things seem like they're the bad, backwards, whatever. And so it's hard to know what to do and what to say, and it takes a lot of guts to stand up for what is right and know what is wrong, and not supporting what is wrong, and knowing when it's time to just not say anything, and knowing when it's time to stand firm. And it's tricky, you guys, because sometimes if somebody's not willing to hear it, we just need to show them the love of God and let them kind of come to the realization on their own. But that does not mean that we cannot pray for them, pray long and hard for them. If you're going to judge somebody but you're not going to pray for them, what does that really mean? What does that say about you? If you're going to judge them and not offer to help them and not pray for them. And this is one of those areas where I think probably this is one of those things that most Christians struggle with. Am I wrong? Do you think there are a lot of Christians out there that have this down pat? because we are all human, y'all. And I think a lot of us, it's a lot easier to not sin. I say sin, um, in certain ways. Like it's an obvious. We're not going to go out and murder people. We're not going to go out and cheat on our spouse. We're not going to go out and steal. You know what I'm saying? There are some things that I think most of us, it's not a problem. It's those little things, and it's usually things like gossip and feeling like you're better than somebody else, or judging, because there are times when judging is more discerning. It's not our place to condemn someone. And until we have walked in their shoes, and I promise you, you've never walked in anybody else's shoes. I mean, you may have some things in common, but you don't know their whole story. Even if you're close to that person, even if you know a lot of their story, you don't know their internal dialogue. You don't know their internal struggle a lot of times. Um, but the next time that you kind of pass a judgment on someone, I would encourage you to think about maybe where that person is coming from, or what that person is struggling with, and really consider, is there anything that you could do to help that person, even if they don't like you and they make it clear that they don't like you. Maybe do something nice for them anyway. I was reading a post here recently on Facebook, and they were talking about having kind of a nosy neighbor, an elderly neighbor who is just, calling the cops on them and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking, oh, that would be so incredibly stressful. Um, but then one of the commenters in that group was like, you know what? I mean, it could be that they're having a hard time. It's Christmas time, it's holidays, and elderly people may have a really hard time with that. But also, someone pointed out that this person, as they're getting older, maybe their mind isn't working right, and maybe they have dementia. And that could be, and maybe they don't, nobody really understands that they have dementia yet, because I promise you, like, even with us as involved with my dad, as we were, I think on some level, we were in denial a little bit. Some of us were in denial longer than others, but we were still kind of in denial because, people can change, and dementia doesn't just hit all at once. Sometimes it does. It depends on the kind that it is and the situation. But, by the end, my dad was, but it was after we knew he had dementia. He was ready to call the cops every time he turned around. He was going to call the cops. And so I can just imagine if you've got somebody that's living alone that may not understand what is going on around them, that they may have tendencies to freak out and panic and feel like they're in a dangerous situation. So that's one example that happened today, that I read today, that made me wonder, how many other examples are there when we judge somebody or a situation just on what we see, without talking to the other person, without seeing their side or knowing the full story. Because there's a lot of stuff, as a therapist, back whenever I was a therapist, before I became a stay-at-home mom, one of the things that I learned was everybody has a story. A lot of my experience was working with juvenile delinquents that were incarcerated, and everybody has a story. They were making stupid decisions, bad decisions, but they had a story that led them to that point. And some of them were able to kind of work their way out of that storyline and create a new story and become successful after they got out of there. Other people just went right back to that old story. But they had a choice, and we don't always make the best choices. I mean, if you always make good choices, let me know in the in the comments below, because I would like to shake your hand and ask you what your secret is, because I know I make bad choices, especially when it comes to food. That's one of my worst choices. But, we all have things that we struggle with. And so in this holiday season and beyond, I would love to encourage you to really think about where the other person is coming from the next time that you judge somebody. And also, what are you doing with that judgment? Are you gossiping? Are you feeling better than them because, because they have this struggle? Or are you thinking about how you can help them? Because wouldn't it be great if every time someone struggled, someone was there to help them out? I mean, gosh, that would be a wonderful thing to, in a wonderful world to live in, if everyone, you know, passed on a helping hand instead of being critical and judging and thinking that, oh well, you hear, I hate stuff like that. And it is, y'all, it doesn't matter how somebody gets to the point where they're at. What matters is, are you going to help them? Are you going to feel better than them and judge them? Are you going to pray for them? And sometimes the only way that we can help somebody is to pray for them. Maybe it's because they don't want their help, want our help, or maybe it's because they're not in a position or in a mindset to accept any help. Some folks, if you try to help them, they'll get defensive, like, I don't need any help from you. And those are those times when it's not the right time. And it can be the way that you offer to help. If you offer to help somebody in a way that is kind of critical of them and not just being generous, that can come across as being judgmental and not helpful. And so sometimes just the way that we offer help is a big, it can be the difference between creating a helping relationship where you can help somebody maybe in a big struggle that they're having, or causing that person to pull back even further into their shell and not want to accept any help. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I know these are kind of random, but you guys, I am so far behind. It is December 8th, and we are just now decorating the tree in the living room. I still have at least one more, well, actually two more trees to decorate, one full size and one smaller tree. I'm trying to get everything done as quick as possible so that I can actually enjoy Christmas without boxes piled everywhere with half-filled ornaments, half-filled with decorations and stuff that I'm tripping over. I want it to be done so I can enjoy it. And so if I don't post a video tomorrow, that is why. Actually, tomorrow. Okay, I've got a lot of other stuff going on as well. And for the rest of the month, I'm babysitting my new grandbaby. I am babysitting my granddogs. I'm house sitting. I've got parties and candy making, get-togethers, and all kinds of stuff. And I've got a lot of baking to do. And so I would love to be able to share this with you guys. But so far, like for the last 7 days, I've posted 2 videos. Excuse me. Every day for 7 days, which is stinking amazing for me. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it up. And so let this kind of be your heads up that if you don't see anything from me for a day or two, I'm just trying to get caught up. I haven't done any Christmas shopping yet, you guys. So yeah, I just want to, and I've still got, I'm still gisting, getting my stuff together, getting myself together, trying to get some stuff done, and I've fallen behind because of just the Christmas stuff, and I've got complete rooms that I need to redo and get ready, and oh my goodness. So on that note, I know I'm just making excuses, y'all. Don't judge me, please. It's all right. But you can judge me if you're willing to come over and help me one day, y'all. Anyway, on that note, I will talk to you maybe tomorrow, maybe not. But I still love you, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye, y'all.